Yo, 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 what's happening, guys? Hope everyone is doing well. Welcome back to another video. And yeah, today, guys, we're going to go over pretty much what the market's looking like. Obviously, we were looking for like some breakout trades yesterday, but we did actually break trend to the downside, right? So I want to speak about the altcoins. I want to speak about Ethereum. I'm going to go over a couple tokens today because I want to see if we can potentially look for some opportunities where we can bounce from, potentially get a bounce set up to the upside. But yeah, overall structure, guys, is definitely looking on the downside, right? So what I want to do is I want to look at total three, and then we'll go to the altcoins. And we'll also have a look at Bitcoin as well to see, what's currently happening with BTC. Okay, so if we look at the total three charts over here, we look at the point of control. So basically, the point of control is sitting at 1.03 trillion, and the whole thing now is price is still trading below that level. We got rejected from it yesterday. This will look a lot better on the 4-hour time frame. So I'll go through it now. But on the daily, getting rejected from that level is obviously very, very critical. So I do want, for the bulls, the ideal level is definitely to get above this zone over here, right? This is the most ideal level that we have for total three in terms of the bulls, right? And in terms of the bears, basically if we lose this 0.65 level, then we have chance of reclaiming this low for altcoins, right? So if we look at the 4-hour, it makes a lot more sense. But when you look at the 4-hour, so we got that breakout over here, we got a retest of that level. We tried to close above that point of control. We couldn't even tap that level, and then we got rejected, right? And then when you draw a trend line from these lows, you can see how we broke this current trend, right? So the whole thing now is, are we gonna bounce from this zone, or are we gonna actually lose this level? And that's the critical thing right now. That's the thing that we have to look at. So I'm looking at this potential zone over here for total three for a potential bounce, right? Because right now it's super hard getting into shorts and longs right now. We have to see some type of reaction. I did take a short earlier this morning on XRP, which we'll speak about, but it's just, this market's been super tricky because it's trading in a bit of a weird range, right? There's no real direction. It's actually, if you look at this range, you could just call this a neutral range, but obviously bearish bias because we did break the lows, right? So it's a bearish range. So technically, you should only really be looking for sells on these retracements, right? But there is a potential for a bounce to happen very, very soon. So I'm watching this zone over here. This is the most ideal zone that I would like to see for a bounce, 980. If we do somehow come below the zone, then the bulls are definitely going to be in trouble. So the bulls will definitely be in trouble, which is obviously a bad thing, right, in terms of our portfolio. So we're going to speak about what tokens that I'm currently looking at as well, but we'll go over everything. So with that said, basically if we look at the 1-hour time frame, you can see that it's just not looking good, right? Making lower lows and lower highs respective, right? You can see over here, this was looking good yesterday. That's what I was telling you guys. I was saying, price is still holding this trend. We should be fine. But if we start losing this trend, then that is where you should have gone short, right? This was early this morning, so I couldn't obviously, it was actually last night, 12, but I was sleeping at that time. So the thing is right now, we did lose this 1-hour trend, right? We lost this trend. There is potential for us to come down and find support right over here. Okay, the 1-hour time frame makes it look a lot more approachable, right? In terms of it's right there. There is potential for one last flush out, and I do think there could be like a dead cat bounce, or where we can potentially look for longs off this level, right? So it's going to be a critical zone for total three. So this is the only zone I'm really looking at, but definitely bearish structure, right? Nothing bullish. We did break this low over here, broke structure. We came up, tried to retest, hit this fair value gap over here, and then we got a rejection right from that level. So very, very critical zone for total three. So obviously still bearish until we start closing. Let's actually look at this, right? Let's actually look at this now. Let me just take away the brushes. All right. So if we look at this on the 1 hour, but we also want to just zoom in here and see, okay, where is the level that we can potentially, be confident that this move is almost or pretty much over, right? So the first thing is, if we get a strong bounce and then we start, forming a bit of a double bottom structure, right? We form a bit of a double bottom structure, and then we break this high. So that would be the only way. And then the other option would be, is if we form like a V-shaped recovery, right? We form a V-shaped recovery, we close above this high, and then we come back down, we break structure. We come back down, we broke structure over here by breaking this previous high, and then we look for longs off this retracement. So that is pretty much what I would be looking at for the bounce scenario, right? And then for sell scenarios, the thing is right now it's very tricky, because if you look at total 3, it's just stuck in a range, right? So it's hard for sells to enter right now, or buys, to be honest with you. I'll be completely honest, because it's in a bit of a range where it's just nothing really we can do here. I don't know why I can't find this shape, but there we go. So it's just kind of stuck in this range. For the buy sides of things, if we somehow get out of this range, just the problem is we just have so much bearish structure to the upside. I don't even think we get out of this range. I do think we're going to break down from this range there, and we're definitely going to tap this level here. And I'm hoping to see some type of structure like this, right, on the 15. So basically, can you see what I'm doing here on the 15-minute time frame? I want to see price take out this low, okay, that we formed over here, or attempt to take out the low. It doesn't have to take it out, but if we can take it out, or attempt to take it out, and then we start forming structure like this, then there is a potential that we can get a bounce from the zone, okay? And then if we start closing back above this level over here, and then we hold this as support, that would be your signal that the altcoins have potential, okay? So that's total 3. This was a short that I did place this morning. The 4-hour time frame did close below this level. It is bearish structure. The 1-hour time frame is where I entered off the trade, because if you look at the 1 hour, you can see how price was respecting this level multiple times. So basically we got a rejection from here, multiple rejections over here, okay, and then we definitely got that breakdown. We came up, retested the trend line. I did take a little bit of profit over here. I'm currently at break even right now, because the problem is the market can bounce at any point of time. So we did get the initial push. There is potential that it does come lower, but I do think that we can potentially bounce at either one of these levels. So it's better to just lower the risk, because the market right now is super difficult to trade. I'll be honest with you. So rather just secure what you got. So that's XRP, and then what I want to speak about is the Ethereum quickly, guys. So basically, yesterday, what I was saying is, as long as the Ethereum stays above 3,951, right, or 45, around about this box over here, right. If we start losing that level, or if we start losing trend, which is exactly what we got. We lost this trend, okay, for Ethereum on the 1 hour time frame, but signals of losing trend is creating lower highs, right? So this lower high should be an indication, okay, we broke trend off that lower high. If we do get a retest, that's your entry. We could have actually looked at that last night, but it was a little bit late. So I didn't actually get involved there. But can you see how the structure is bearish now, though? Because the problem is, we have broken this low. We've broken this low. We've created bearish structure at the moment, and we are attempting to break this low right over here. Okay, so we have to think about what are the next key levels for Ethereum, right? And to find that out, I like to use the Fibonacci tool. So basically, on TradingView, you can just use this tool. You want to take it from the low, right? So the low to the high, okay? And it gives you potential reaction zones, right? And you can see with this level over here, it is a strong level. We have multiple reactions, even support from, October 16th and then obviously 17th. So this whole structure right over here, we're going to draw it in quickly to show you. Anywhere within this zone, the 3,818 zone, all this white box, it is a potential long setup, guys. And the reason why I say that is because coming all the way back to this zone, there is a SFP from this low as well. There's a potential that we do get a potential bounce here. This could be a nice little risk to reward play for potential bounce, right? If we draw the fib from here to here as well, then you target these levels to the upside, right? So anywhere within these zones, this would be a setup that I would be looking at, but I do think that we come down here, right? I do think that's possible we come down here. Can we break this level and take out this low? Of course we can. But the probability of us getting a reaction from this low is a lot more likely, right? Just because of how price action works in general. So a potential setup is we come down, we hit this level, we look for a long off the zone, then we look for a potential short at one of these levels, right? If we form a double top. Because structurally right now, guys, it is bearish. We lost trend. Altcoins lost trend. We spoke about it. If you guys did just join, we did just speak about this, right? We spoke about how we've lost this massive trend, which is not a good sign. Okay, it's not a good sign for the altcoins. So let's have a look at Bitcoin quickly before we jump off here. But I want to just quickly let's have a look at Bitcoin while it loads. Yeah, just give it a second. Yeah. Just give it a second. I don't know what's happening here. What? Let me just refresh the page. Just reload this. Give it a second. There we go. So, like I said, this is the most probable setup for the total 3. Have a look at the reasoning. Yeah. So my whole thing with Bitcoin right now, it's just not looking good. And if you guys remember yesterday, what I said in the Telegram groups, right? What I said was, the only way we take longs today for Bitcoin is if we close above 111, 999, right? That's what liquidity is. That's where all the stop losses are sitting at. So we want price to take out that level. Remember, I'm more of a breakout trader, so so I need confirmation on these closes, right? And then right now you can see Bitcoin. Let's have a look at this. Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin's price actually looks terrible right now, I'll be honest. So, Bitcoin downside likelihood, we can look at this trend line as well, right? This is also indication that we just lost trend. We respect to that level. And now, how trading works is, you want to see price hit liquidity, right? So, liquidity to the downside here is still these lows, right, for Bitcoin. And we've lost short-term downside trend, right? So this is not looking good for Bitcoin. Sells for Bitcoin could be the play, and just putting a stop loss is just above the trend. Your risk is not even that high. That could even be a potential setup. So, right now, guys, just be careful. We are looking for potential bounce on ETH, and then looking for shorts a little bit later. Because structurally right now, guys, everything is bearish, right? And then total 3, we spoke about it. What I'm potentially looking at is if we can take out this low here, and then potentially look for longs off this level, that would be the play. So yeah, there was one more setup that I'm looking at for the day. It was Polkadot, right? So there's 2 setups actually for Polkadot. So the whole thing right now, Polkadot 4-hour time frames holding trend, right? Holding upside potential. Fine. We are holding trend. But once we start losing this level, I'm looking at potential shorts, right? Because, we are potentially going to lose this zone if Bitcoin does continue to fall, right? So if we do take out this level over here, then I do have a short place. I do have a potential short that I will place, trying to take out these lows. Same thing with the longs, right? Because, we did break trend over here to the upside, and we're still holding structure, right? So I'm not opposed to not taking longs on DOT specifically, as if other tokens have broken trend, whereas DOT has not. It's still following the same trend line. So the long scenario would just be waiting for price to close above 3.077. Okay, so that's kind of my thoughts on the market. Overall structure is still bearish, guys. I still see price coming down. So longs not just yet, but we'll see what happens. And I appreciate everyone for being here. It was a bit of a short one, but you know, the past 2 days has just been not much happening. So I do appreciate everyone for watching. Peace out.